legitimately is on the hot seat?
I think, to me, decision-making is a problem. Look, let's face it. To me, I'm not against analytics. I am about applied analytics based on the game. And if you watched that game last week, it was going to be a field goal game. So when you turn down field goals in a field goal game, you cost yourself points. I mean, the Green Bay Packers offense this year, as you know, Ty, has been dynamic. They lead the league in field goals. They average 3.7 field goals a game. Like, you've got to be able to take the points when they offer them to you, or it just moves momentum into your favor. I'm not saying you shouldn't go for it at certain times, but to me, he's made some really curious decisions that I think has really impacted their team. And a game like that, like the Atlanta game, if he kicks the field goal or runs the ball, they win. This week, he got away with it. They scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. They were able to make that play on 3rd and 16 to Goddard that won the game for him. But I think that's the heat, and he's always going to be under heat. As long as great coaches are out there, whether it's Vrabel or Belichick, the people in Philadelphia, they want to win a Super Bowl. They think it's Super Bowl or bust for Sirianni.
Yeah, and we did the hashtag I don't want to overreact, but, and boy, Eagles come fresh out of a win. Normally, Overreaction Monday tweets after a win, very positive normally from fan bases. We're going to win Super Bowl, people normally say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we figured it out. This one was like, Sirianni gets the hell out of town.
Yeah.
I am sick of this guy. That was a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans, so obviously they got their work cut out for them. Hopefully they'll be able to do that. Let's stick with that game, though. Coach Pagano has a question for you, Paisan.
Yeah, so huge win at the Saints. We both were talking about that defense going into that game. What did you see from Vic going down there? It looked like a totally different defense. When I watched the tape, I saw some 5-man fronts. I saw him go to the 6-1 look, Lombo, give him some different deals. They got edges on everybody. They didn't give that offensive line any angles to block. What'd you see? Looked like Carter. He got to Carter. It looks like he was unblockable in that game. And then they got Tampa this week. Do you think they've turned the corner with Vic and that defense? And what do you see it doing moving forward?
Well, that game plan specific worked. I mean, they took the Belichick game plan from the Rams Super Bowl where they lined up in that 6-1 and they had edges, hard edges on both sides. And Carter played like we all know he's capable of playing. He took over the game. And credit Vic. I mean, Vic just didn't sit there with small edges and let Clint Kubiak run outside. And then I think the biggest part of the game, Chuck, was the fact that Carter got inside pressure. He got in the paint on Derek Carr, and he disrupted Carr from the very first snap. And that made Carr uncomfortable in the pocket. And that's when Carr all of a sudden wasn't the same quarterback we saw in the first 2 weeks. This week going to Tampa has struggled to run the football. They're 32nd in the league in rushing the last 2 years and haven't improved their run game at all. And so Baker Mayfield's going to have to make plays on the outside. But this Eagle team's got a lot of injuries. Becton missed the game, missed practice yesterday. Lane Johnson's got in concussion protocol. Devontae Smith, we're not sure if he's going to play concussion protocol. They're really hurting offensively. So this is a moment, and I think Tampa really got caught off guard last week. They were, they got out of Detroit with a win they probably shouldn't have had, and then Denver went in there and put it to them. So Todd Bowles will have that team ready to go. He usually does. This will be a fun game to watch. The line hasn't moved very much at all. It's been steady 2 points the whole week.
The NFC South, all of a sudden.
Yeah, legit.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. AFC South, too, look out.
Wow.
You know what I mean? AFC South, look out. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Lombo, 2 of those 4 teams are actually 0-3. It's by far the worst division in football. There's no question about that. But
a lot of season left.
Plenty of season left. Yeah, with those 0-3 teams, the Titans, Jags, and, of course, the Bengals, do you think all of those teams are hitting the panic button right now? We saw after the Monday Night Football game, Joe Burrow was heading towards Zach Taylor's office with the coaches to have a little meeting. Do you think they're kind of all screwed, or how do you think any of them, if they can, turn it around going forward for the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, Cincy's problem was they couldn't stop the run. Now, look, they didn't have B.J. Hill in the game. They didn't have Sheldon Rankins in the game. That made it very difficult. But I think the thing that makes it hard for Cincinnati is they're 31st in the league in rushing attempts. They don't really help the defensive coordinator out slowing the game down. And, look, they didn't make Washington punt the whole day. They never could get control of the game, and that's a real problem. And I think their defensive front isn't playing to the level we've seen it play in the past. Jacksonville, to me, that game was a disaster from start to finish in Buffalo. and they had opportunities to win 2 games. They should have beat Miami. They should have beat Cleveland in week 2, but they just can't seem to make enough plays in their passing game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence can't seem to make plays. Their offensive line hasn't played very well at all. And the pressure's on them. I mean, look, Shah Khan, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, came out and said this is the most talented team they've had in Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, Tony's been cooking down there. He's the chief football strategist.
Yeah, he knows.
I don't see that, though, Pat. I mean, when they had Baselli, Brunell, and Fred Taylor, those teams were really good. Those teams were unbelievable. Jimmy Smith, this team to me isn't there. This team has some talented athletes, but I don't think they play as a team. I think it's a collection of talent, not a team. And what bothers me about Jacksonville, Chuck, is I don't know if you see this on the tape, but I don't think they're tough enough. I don't think they'll smack somebody in the mouth. I think they'd rather run Y stick to get 2 yards than just run a lead play and show they got physical toughness.
I agree.
Oh, geez.
Not good.
Everybody's calling the Cowboys soft because their defensive fits are around. And by everybody, it's not us. We were just saying that is an actual thing being said about the Cowboys defense. And all of a sudden, you got Chuck and Lombardi going, Jacksonville Jaguars is soft.
They're way soft.
What are we even talking about?
When why you
That's
can't
not a good
score
thing
the
to
red
say.
zone.
Jacksonville Jaguars, that's not a good thing to say.
Well, look, here's the reality, though, Pat. It's a term we use in terms of being able to power the football. And one of the ways you have to score in the NFL is you got to run the ball in. I mean, it's hard to throw it in those windows. You got to have, when it's third, you got to be able to power that line back. And Jacksonville couldn't do it. And I think that lends itself. Your short yardage, here's one of the biggest things that's happened in the NFL. Short yardage and goal line has really taken a step back because there's no practice, because there's no physicality. And the teams that can execute on third and short are the teams that are tougher, the teams that can win these close games.